Picture this: a couple, deeply in love, jetting off to the paradise of Bali for the anniversary of a lifetime. But what began as a romantic escape spiraled into a tragedy that no one saw coming. Meet James and Claire Harper, a glamorous couple from Seattle with a life most people could only dream of. James, a 40-year-old tech entrepreneur, and Claire, a 36-year-old fitness influencer with a loyal online following, were known for their luxurious vacations and picture-perfect marriage. This trip to Bali was supposed to be their crown jewel, a 10-day celebration of 15 years together, filled with private villas, sunset dinners, and memories to last forever. But beneath the Instagram filters and tropical cocktails, a dark secret was brewing. One decision, one moment, would turn their dream getaway into a nightmare that shocked the world. Stick around as we unravel the chilling true crime story of the Harpers' fatal Bali vacation. If you love a good mystery, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more true crime every week. James and Claire Harper were the couple everyone envied. James had built a tech startup from the ground up, selling it for millions before he hit 35. His charm and ambition made him a local celebrity in Seattle's business scene. Claire, meanwhile, was a fitness guru with over 300,000 Instagram followers. Her feed a curated gallery of smoothie bowls, yoga poses, and jet-setting adventures. Together, they were a power couple, wealthy, attractive, and seemingly inseparable, with 2 kids, Ethan, 12, and Lily, 8, completing their perfect family portrait. Their vacations were the stuff of legend. From skiing in the Alps to sailing in the Caribbean, the Harpers lived for adventure, and Claire's followers ate it up. Every trip was a chance to showcase their love, their lifestyle, and their brand. Bali, though, was going to be different. James had planned it as a grand gesture for their 15th anniversary, a trip to rekindle their romance in one of the world's most romantic destinations. He booked a private villa in Ubud, complete with a personal chef, infinity pool, and guided tours through rice terraces and ancient temples. For Claire, it was content gold. She envisioned dreamy photos against Bali's lush jungles, candlelit dinners by the ocean, and reels that would go viral. But behind the flawless facade, cracks were starting to show. To their friends and followers, James and Claire were relationship goals, but those close to them whispered about tension. Rumors had been circulating in their social circle: late-night arguments, James's growing distance, and Claire's obsession with her online image. Some said James had been seen with a mysterious woman at a tech conference, though no one dared confront him. Claire, for her part, seemed to bury herself deeper in her influencer world, chasing likes and sponsorships to drown out her doubts. This Bali trip was meant to be their reset. James saw it as a chance to prove his devotion. Claire hoped it would bring back the spark they'd lost. Neither of them could have imagined that Bali's beauty would hide a darkness that would tear their world apart. When the Harpers landed in Bali, they were swept away by the island's magic. The air was thick with the scent of frangipani and incense, the streets alive with the hum of motorbikes and the chatter of vendors selling hand-carved masks and woven baskets. Their villa in Ubud was a slice of paradise, hidden behind bamboo gates, with a private pool overlooking emerald rice fields and a courtyard where monkeys chattered in the trees. Claire wasted no time setting up her camera, posing in a flowing sundress for the perfect arrival shot. Her Instagram caption read, "Bali bliss here for love, adventure, and endless sunsets, Harper happiness anniversary goals." The first few days were a whirlwind of indulgence. The Harpers dined at a cliffside restaurant in Jimbaran, feasting on grilled lobster and coconut water as the sun dipped below the horizon. They explored the Tegalalang rice terraces, Claire snapping selfies while James trailed behind, his eyes often glued to his phone. They even took a cooking class in a local village, laughing as they tried to master Balinese satay. Moments Claire carefully staged for her followers. To the world, the Harpers were living the dream, their love story unfolding against Bali's stunning backdrop. But beneath the surface, something was off. Claire noticed James's distractions growing. He'd step away to take calls, his voice low and guarded, claiming they were work-related. At dinner one night, she caught him smiling at a text, his fingers typing furiously under the table. When she asked who it was, he brushed it off with a laugh. "Just a client, babe, you know how it is." Claire forced a smile, but her stomach churned. She'd heard the rumors back home, the whispers of another woman. She'd ignored them, convinced herself it was just gossip. But now in Bali, thousands of miles from home, those doubts began to gnaw at her. One evening, as they lounged by the villa's pool, James excused himself to check on a deal. Claire watched him disappear into their suite, his phone pressed to his ear. The kids, Ethan and Lily, were playing nearby, oblivious to the tension. Claire's heart raced. She'd never been the type to snoop, but something about James's behavior, the secrecy, the distance, pushed her to the edge. That night, she would make a decision that would change everything. That night, as the Balinese jungle hummed with crickets outside their villa, Claire Harper's world began to unravel. James was asleep beside her, his steady breathing a stark contrast to the storm raging in her mind. His phone lay on the nightstand, its screen dimly lit by a new notification. For months, Claire had ignored the signs, James's late nights, his vague excuses, the way he'd pull away when she reached for him. But here in Bali, with the weight of their anniversary pressing down, she couldn't ignore it anymore. With her heart pounding, Claire reached for the phone. Her fingers hesitated over the screen. She'd never crossed this line before. But something snapped inside her. Using James's thumb while he slept, she unlocked the device. What she saw made her blood run cold. A message from a woman named Rachel read, "Miss you already. When can we meet in Bali? You said we'd have time." Claire's breath hitched. She scrolled, her hands shaking, uncovering months of texts, intimate exchanges, photos of Rachel in a hotel room, even a booking confirmation for a resort in Seminyak, just an hour from their villa. The truth hit Claire like a tidal wave. James hadn't planned this trip just for their anniversary. He'd brought his mistress to Bali, weaving her into their dream vacation. Every smile, every "I love you" had been a lie. Tears burned Claire's eyes, but rage quickly overtook her heartbreak. This wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. She'd built her brand on their perfect marriage, and now it was crumbling. Claire placed the phone back, her mind racing. She could confront him, scream, expose him in front of their kids, but a darker thought crept in, one that whispered of revenge. As dawn broke over Bali, Claire made a decision. She wouldn't let James destroy her. This trip was supposed to be about love, but it would end in something far more permanent. The next morning, Claire put on a mask of calm. Over breakfast at the villa, she sipped her coffee with a forced smile, chatting about the day's plans while James scrolled through his phone, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. "I was thinking we do something adventurous today," Claire said, her voice light. "How about a hike to the cliffs near Kampuhan Ridge, just you and me, some alone time?" James looked up, surprised but pleased. "Sounds perfect," he said, unaware he was walking into a trap. By noon, they'd left the villa behind, driving through Bali's lush interior to a secluded trail known for its breathtaking ocean views. The kids stayed at the villa with a babysitter, believing their parents were off on a romantic outing. The trail was quiet, the air heavy with humidity and the scent of tropical flowers. James walked ahead, snapping photos of the scenery, while Claire trailed behind, her hand brushing the pocket knife she'd bought at a Ubud market, a souvenir she'd never intended to use until now. They reached a cliffside viewpoint, the turquoise ocean crashing far below. No one else was around, just the two of them, the jungle and the endless horizon. Claire's heart pounded, her plan crystallizing. "James," she said, her voice suddenly cold. "When were you going to tell me about Rachel?" James froze, his phone slipping from his hand. "Claire, what are you talking about?" he stammered. She laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Don't lie to me. I saw the messages. You brought her here to our anniversary." She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. James backed toward the cliff's edge, his hands raised. "It's not what you think, I swear." Before he could finish, Claire's rage erupted. She pulled the knife from her pocket and lunged. The blade sank into James's chest, and he gasped, stumbling backward. Blood seeped through his shirt as he clutched the wound, his eyes wide with shock. "Claire, please?" He choked, but she struck again, her hands trembling with fury. James collapsed, his body crumpling onto the rocky ground, his blood staining the earth. Claire stood over him, the knife slipping from her shaking hands. The jungle was silent, the only sound her ragged breathing. She'd done it. James was gone. But now the real challenge began, covering her tracks. Claire's mind raced as she stood over James's body. She couldn't carry him down the trail. Too heavy, too risky. Instead, she dragged him to the cliff's edge, her muscles burning with effort. With a final push, she sent his body tumbling down to the jagged rocks below, where it landed with a sickening thud. To anyone who found him, it would look like a tragic fall, a hiker who'd lost his footing. Claire wiped the knife and tossed it into the jungle, then checked herself for evidence. Blood had soaked her jacket's sleeves, but she stuffed it into her bag to discard later. Forcing tears, she rehearsed her story. James slipped. I tried to save him, but he fell. By the time she reached the trailhead, she was sobbing, her performance flawless. Spotting a local guide, she ran to him, crying, "My husband, he fell off the cliff. Please help." Balinese police and rescue teams arrived quickly. Claire repeated her story, her voice breaking. "We were taking photos. He got too close to the edge and slipped. I tried to grab him, but..." The officers nodded, but one, a sharp-eyed detective named Inspector Wayan Surya, watched her closely. "We'll need to investigate, Mrs. Harper," he said, his tone polite but probing. Within hours, rescue workers retrieved James's body, and Claire saw them pointing at the cliff, murmuring about the scene. Her heart sank. Had she missed something? At the police station in Denpasar, Claire gave her official statement, sticking to her script. But Inspector Surya's questions were relentless. "You said he fell, but the body was far from the cliff's base, and there's blood on the trail above." Claire's pulse quickened. I don't know. Maybe he cut himself before he fell," she stammered. Surya's eyes narrowed. "We're conducting an autopsy. We'll know more soon." Claire returned to the villa, hugging Ethan and Lily as she told them their father had suffered a terrible accident. But inside, panic gripped her. An autopsy could reveal the stab wounds. She hadn't planned for this. The walls were closing in, and Bali's paradise was becoming her prison. The next morning, Claire's phone rang. It was Inspector Surya. "Mrs. Harper, we need you at the station. There are concerns about your husband's death." Her stomach dropped. At the station, Surya laid out the evidence. "The autopsy shows multiple stab wounds," he said, his voice steady. "James was dead before he hit the rocks." Claire feigned shock. "That's impossible. He fell." Surya slid a forensic report across the table. "We found blood on your hiking jacket, your husband's blood, and surveillance footage from the villa shows you leaving that morning with a clean jacket but returning with stains." Claire's breath caught. She'd been so careful, but not careful enough. "I tried to help him," she whispered. "That's how the blood got there." Surya leaned forward. "Mrs. Harper, the stab wounds were deliberate, inflicted by someone of your height. There were no other footprints on the trail. You were alone with him." Silence hung heavy. Claire's lies were crumbling. Desperate, she tried a new angle. What if someone else was there? A robber, maybe? Surya didn't blink. "We checked. No signs of anyone else. Just you." Hours later, 2 officers entered the room. "Claire Harper," Surya said, "you're under arrest for the murder of James Harper." Cold handcuffs snapped around her wrists. As they led her away, Claire's mind screamed. How did it come to this? Her perfect life, her perfect plan, had fallen apart. Claire's trial gripped Bali and beyond. Headlines screamed, "Influencer's deadly betrayal in paradise." The prosecution laid out a damning case. James's stab wounds, the blood on Claire's jacket, the villa's surveillance footage. Witnesses, including the trail guide, testified to Claire's tearful but calculated performance. Forensic experts confirmed the knife wounds couldn't have been accidental. Claire's defense claimed emotional distress, arguing James's affair drove her to a momentary lapse. But the evidence was tracked. The courtroom fell silent as the judge delivered the verdict, guilty of murder. Claire was sentenced to life in an Indonesian prison. As she was led away, her children's faces, Ethan and Lily, now with relatives in Seattle, haunted her. Her influencer empire collapsed, her followers turned on her, and her dream life was reduced to a cell. What began as a celebration of love ended in a tragedy that shattered a family. Claire's story is a chilling reminder. Secrets have a way of surfacing, and betrayal can come at a deadly cost. That's the shocking story of Claire and James Harper. A vacation that promised paradise but delivered a nightmare. Do you think Claire could have walked away if she'd chosen differently? Or was her fate sealed the moment she picked up that knife? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.